Hi everyone. Today is December 5th, and the main verse for today is Luke chapter 5, verse 36 to 39. Do you guys know who Baek Jong-won is? You might recognize him from the famous Netflix cooking show called Culinary Class War. Mr. Baek is a famous entrepreneur in Korea who is known for successfully launching a multiple restaurant franchise. He also starred in many TV shows. One of them is called Baek Jong-won's Alley Restaurant. For people who are not familiar with him or the show is very similar to Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmare. Mr. Baek goes into the restaurant, talk with the owners, listen to their stories, taste their main menu, inspect the restaurant, and give solutions based on his observation. The first solution that Mr. Baek often presents to the owner is reducing the size of the menu to 1 to 3 main dishes. He is confident that having 1 to 3 main dishes is much more efficient than having hundreds of menus. His argument is that when you have too much menu, your resource and your energy is too dispersed to sustain the business. However, when the owners get the solution, while they understand it is logical, they are reluctant to reduce their menu because they fear that the customers won't come back if they don't have many options. While they fear losing some old customers, they don't see how many new customers will come if they focus on the main dishes. According to Mr. Baek, key to success is being efficient by focusing on the right priority. Chapter 5 is the very beginning of Jesus' ministry. In this chapter, Jesus calls his first disciples, Peter, Andrew, James, and John, forgives and heals a paralyzed man, calls Levi, and eat with the sinners, and answer the question about fasting. What Jesus did in chapter 5 was not common for first century Jews. Jews were used to seeing disciples choosing their rabbi or teachers to follow, not teachers calling upon the disciples. Jews were used to condemning and staying away from the sick because they believed that God had cursed the sick people because they have sinned against God. Jews never ate or even stayed close to tax collectors because they were extorting from the Jews, and if you ever get close with them, you will be contaminated by their sin. Jews are used to seeing religious people fasting because that was one of their methods to display their faith to others. Jesus purposely challenged and go against these beliefs to revolt against the traditional belief of the Jews. I think that is very superficial analysis of his action. Jesus acted in such a way because his priority was different from the Jews. For Jews, their priority was saving themselves. They have to look right and be faithful in the eyes of the people around them. However, for Jesus, his priority was God and his plan. To fulfill God's plan, how people look at him or what is tradition were not concern of Jesus. Verse 36, he also told them a parable. No one tears a piece from the new garment and put it on an old garment. If he does, he will tear the new, and the piece from the new will not match the old. And no one puts the new wine into old wineskins. If he does, the new wine will burst the skins and it will be spilled, and the skins will be destroyed. But new wine must be put into fresh wineskins, and no one after drinking old wine desires new, for he says, the old is good. Jesus was not afraid to break down the old system because his priority was not sustaining the current system, but it was to have a system that will fulfill God's plan. As we end, I want to introduce a book. The title of the book is One Thing by Gary Keller. It is a business or self-developmental book. From the title, you might be able to tell the main idea of the book. The main thesis of the book emphasized the importance of focused efforts and prioritization. Jesus focused on the one thing, fulfilling God's plan to save us. Just like how Mr. Baek got rid of all of those menus to bring up the efficiency and save the restaurant, and just like how Gary Keller emphasized the importance of focused efforts and prioritization, and just like how Jesus focused on God's plan rather than the traditions in Luke chapter 5, I want everyone to think about, where do we place our priority at? Are we really prioritizing God or still attached to our own greed that is distracting us from God?